promised, we're now going to look at a lower cowl. So I'm just going to draw on here what this lower cowl we're talking about might look like. So for this one, I'm going to make an assumption that we're going to be a bit narrower on the shoulder and that it's going to drop quite low, and then we'll have the drapery effect. So I'm sure you've all seen photographs or you've looked at images that create that sort of look while you've been doing your research. This is what we're aiming at. So just remember that with this first sample that we did, we put all the darts into the front, which moved the neckline over. So it's the cowl is a result of having this line, which is much bigger than the line between your physical centre front, if you can imagine, and your shoulder. So that when that gets forced back into place, this creates a drape. So what we're looking at doing with the lower cowl is making that line longer. Okie dokes, here we go. So I'm going to start by doing exactly the same thing, which is moving all of the darts, so that's the shoulder dart and the waist dart, into the centre front. So, oh, it's easiest this way round, isn't it? Oops, sorry. So there we go, I'm closing it. You can do that if you're much more comfortable doing it the slashing method, please do. This isn't any more correct than the slashing method. What it is it's a bit cleaner, it's a bit easier to follow. Okay, I am going to draw this line in, although actually you don't need it. So this is what we had before to create the shallow cowl, but now we want to make something that's deeper. So we have to do this next bit, slashing method. So I need to move this further over again. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to slash into the centre front. So I'm going to start by slashing above the bust point. If you want to go really low, you do have to start slashing across into the side seam. Now again, I need you to sort of time travel back to your first year so that you can remember that to open up that slash, I need to snip in here, to create, whoops, spaces that are going to become extra drapery, a longer line here that is going to become the depth at which the cowl will fall. So I'm going to pin this piece of paper onto here. I wonder why I'm pinning it when I can sellotape it. Slightly odd behaviour. Anyway, now I've realised I'll start sellotaping it. I'm not giving you measurements for how deep these should be. It's fairly random, really, in many respects. You can't take this way back. You can probably take it about that far before this area becomes strange. But I would say I would like you to practice that yourself to see how far you can push this slashing to create a low cowl. And again, I'm going to cut this actual pattern out later so that you can see how it pans out, see how it works. Okay, so exactly the same as we did with the first example. we're going to go back to its original centre front and then just keep going. Like so. I'm going to do or say that we're going to have the cowl sitting from about the mid shoulder. So I've made that decision. I've just positioned it where the dart was, but you know, that's a design issue. I now need a line at a right angle to the centre front that runs from the centre front and through that point. So exactly the same as we did with the shallower one. Oh, I haven't got it quite in the right position. I'll drop that down. That's the midgery edge, so okay. I missed it again, but you get the gist. Okay, so that is our new front neckline, and it measures 34, 35 centimetres. So in theory, this is going to drop that much lower. So it's going to drop almost to the waist, actually, that front piece, because we've done it at a very extreme angle. Like I say, we'll see how that turns out when I've made the pattern and cut it out. So again, this next bit is exactly like you've done with the more shallow cowl. We're going to add on at the top here a facing, and because it's so low, I'm going to give it a deeper facing. I'm going to give it a facing of 6. Fold along that line to find out what that top shape should be. So we're going in. Unfolding. I'm going to flip it so that I can see the shoulder, and I am going to line through. Now, because of the extreme nature of how far we've split it, it's got a completely different shape than the one that we did before. Instead of making a V, it makes a little pokey-uppy bit. Pokey-uppy bit, you know what I mean? It's going up rather than creating a V. So this is our fold. This is our centre front. What we said about grain line for the more shallow cowl is also true of this. So you can have it on the centre front. It produces a slightly more angled cowl, should we say, or you can have it on the bias and produce a smoother, softer cowl. I won't make you watch me make the pattern for that, but I will be making the pattern so that I can show you how this behaves. So if we call this cowl 2, I'm going to mark on a bias grain on it. And I will cut it out both ways so that we can do comparisons. Okay, again, same applies to the back. The only bit of the back you really need to alter on this is the shoulder so that they match up. And decide how the back neckline is going to get fixed. Anyhow, basically we're just worrying about the cowls at the moment, so don't feel obliged to make a back pattern. Okay, so I'll be back momentarily with whatever the next thing is. I think it's a cowl armhole, isn't it? Okay, back soon.